In Project 5, we're going to take a look at inserting headers and footers into a document. And if you'll remember from Level 1, a header is text that appears at the top of every page. You just enter it in one time in the header pane, and then if you had a 10-page report, it would appear at the top of every single page. And the opposite is true for a footer. If you put in text into the footer pane, again, that text will appear at the bottom of every page within your document. And a good example of headers and footers, actually headers or footers, I'm sorry, are in your textbook. If you look at the page numbers on the left and the right side, I'm on page 25, but if you look at the bottom of that page, you'll see Chapter 1, Customizing Paragraphs and Pages. That particular text is probably was inserted using a footer. And then on the previous page, page 24, again, you have another footer that says Word Level 2, Unit 1, and we'll eventually get to this, but footers can also be specified as odd and even pages, so you can have different text within an odd or an even page. So with that, we are going to create some headers and footers within a document, and we'll add some unique, I guess, elements within each of these panes that we haven't seen before. So we're going to begin in Project 5A by opening up the file called Comp Software, and I have renamed this a little bit later on. We're going to be using it in a header, so I want to name it appropriately. And we're going to insert a header into this document. You'll notice it's a 3-page document. So the header will appear at the top of every single page, but we'll just enter it in one time. And we are going to enter in a picture on the left-hand side of the header, and then on the right-hand side we're going to put in the date and the time. So to insert a header, we're going to go to the Insert tab, and in the Header and Footer group, we're going to click on Header. And remember, there are built-in headers that have been added for us by Word. However, we're going to choose at the very bottom of this menu, which I'm not sure that you can see, but it's the Edit Header option. And by doing that, that will take us into the header pane. And at the left-hand side, we are going to insert a picture that has been included in our Student Data Files Word Level 2 Chapter 1 folder. So we're going to grab that, but we will insert the picture by going into the Insert Group. Now we're on the Header and Footer Tools Design tab, Insert Group, and then Picture. And that'll take us out to the Insert Picture dialog box. And then I'm going to navigate to the 103 folder, maybe. My computer's really slow this morning, kind of like me. So, okay, and then 103, I'm going to go to the Student Data Files folder, Level 2, Chapter 1. And we're looking for the picture that was called Worldwide. So I'm going to double click on that. That inserts that picture. We are going to change the height of that. So I just want to make sure that the picture is selected. Notice the Picture Tools Format tab appeared, and within that we do want to change the height to 0.6. And then we also want to wrap that so that if there's text around it, it'll wrap nicely. And to do that, we're going to go to the Wrap Text, and they want us to choose Square. Okay, and then they also want us to kind of position this down around the 1-inch mark. So we'll do that. Move that over a little bit. Actually 1/3. Drag the image up approximately 1/3 of an inch. So we'll go up a little higher. Sorry about that. So we'll position it kind of at the left margin, up just a little bit. Okay, then to the right, which now I'm going to tab twice. That's the center tab, and then one more time will take me to the right tab. And at the right tab, we're going to insert the date and the time. So I'm going to go back to the Header Footer Tools Design tab. In the Insert group, choose Date and Time. And the one that they want us to choose is the 12th option from the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which gives us the date and the time option. So we'll select that and click OK. And we're also going to change the font of this. I'm going to select this placeholder, and we want to bold it. So I'm going to go back to the Home tab, bold it, and also change the font size to 9. So that makes it a little bit smaller and also bolds it somewhat. Okay, And I'm going to move this picture up just a little bit more so that it kind of appears to be centered vertically, I guess, so that they're lined up side by side. Now to get out of that header, again, we can double click outside of the header pane. And now if we look down on page 2, I'm on page 2, we should see the same information, that the picture and the date and time. Now I'm on page 3, the top of that should have the picture and the date and the time. Okay, now we're going to change the margins of the entire document, and when we do that, that'll kind of change the way our headers appear. So they want us to make a note of this, that when we do change margins, it does affect where the positioning of the headers and footers will appear. So to change the margins, we do want to go to the Page Layout tab, and in the Page Setup group, we're going to choose Margins, and they want us to go into Custom Margins, which is at the very bottom. Again, I don't know if you can see that. The left side is going to be 1.25, and the right's going to be 1.25 as well. And those are the only two changes they're going to make, and then we'll click OK. And now that shifts our margins, obviously. It also makes a little bit of difference to what's going on with our headers. And the picture doesn't look too bad, but we certainly do need to go in and probably make changes to those. And they'll ask us to do that later on in Project 5B. So before we do that, though, they do want us to insert a footer. And the footer is actually going to have our first and last name in the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side we're going to be putting in the page number. So with that, again, we'll go back to the Insert tab, Header and Footer Group, Footer button, and again, there are built-in footers that are available to us, the same styles that were available to us for the headers, but on this particular example they do want us to go into Edit, Footer. And notice here we are on the first page, the footer pane, and at the left hand side they do want us to put in our first and last name. And then at the center, so I'm just going to tab one time, we're going to put in the page number so that it appears in the current position. Now to do that, we're going to go back to the Header Footer Tools Design tab, and in the Header Footer group we're going to click on page number, and we're going to choose current position, and then we are going to use a built-in style that they have for us, which is accent bar 2, which I don't know if you can see that or not. Hopefully you can grab that at the bottom. You can see that, and that pulls in a built-in footer for us. And then we're going to tab one more time. That takes us to the right tab that's set, and notice here it is outside of the margins, but we'll change that in just a minute. And then they do have us typing in the name of the file, which is Word Level 2, Chapter 1, Project 5, and then Comp Software. Okay, and then we will make some changes here. The center tab, and I don't know if you can see this, it's off just a little bit in comparison to our margins. So they want us to change the center tab back to 3. So I'm going to grab that tab setting and move it to the 3-inch mark. Notice how it adjusts the footer there. And then the left one, that's at 1. I think we're okay there. And then the right tab, we know that it's off. So we're going to grab that, place it at the 6-inch mark, and that'll pull the text back to the left. We're also going to do the same for the top, the header, and before we do that, they do want us to change all of this so that it's consistent text. So we're going to select the entire footer, and they're going to change that to Calibri, which is already set there, bold, and they want it to be 9-point. So now we're at least consistent on the actual font and the size of it. Okay, and then we're going to make some changes to the header. As I mentioned before, the tab setting is off a little bit, so you can do a couple of things here. You can scroll up, obviously, to go to that. They mentioned in the book, if you go back to the Header and Footer Tools Design tab, if you click on the Go to Header button, that'll immediately take you to the header pane. Okay, so we're going to move this right tab back to the 6-inch mark. Doesn't matter on the center alignment because we don't have anything positioned at the center. But if something were added later, you would certainly want to make a note of that and try to center that between your margins. Also, we're going to change the position of the header and footer, where it's positioned from the top of the page, and also then at the bottom with our footer. We want to adjust those measurements as well. And to do that, again, on the Header Footer Tools Design tab, in the Position group, the top one here, you'll notice Header Position from Top. We want that to be set at 0.8. Notice how that's pushing that down, and it needs to be 0.8. I got carried away there. And then from the bottom, we want it to be 0.6. And I'm going to move down there for just a second so you can see that moving as I change it. So we're in the footer now, and I'm going to increase it to 0.6. And since I wasn't clicked in there, you didn't get to see that. But anyway, it adjusted it so that it's now 0.6 from the bottom. Okay? Now I'm going to close out of the header footer pane. We can either click on this button or double click in the document like we did previously. Either one of those will get us out of the header and footer pane. In Project 5C, we're going to look at how we can create a header that prints on all pages within a report or a document except for the first page. And this is particularly helpful if you're creating a report that has a title page. Many times you don't want the header or footer to appear on the title page. So we're going to continue using the same file that we've used previously. And the first thing they would like for us to do is select the entire document and change the line spacing to 2. So a quick way of selecting the entire document is Control A. That selects the entire document. Okay. Then the other thing, a quick way to change to line spacing 2 is Control 2. Those are all shortcuts for changing line spacing. And I'd be particularly careful with that. In a report in many classes, when you insert that extra double spacing, and I don't see any examples here. If you have more than one paragraph within a section, then it's more than a double space between those paragraphs, and that's not really appropriate. You want to keep consistent spacing between paragraphs as well as between your line spacing. So just kind of make a note of that, a mental note of that, in that when you change line spacing, it does, if you already have a double space or if you've returned twice between the paragraphs, then that'll make it even more space between those paragraphs. You'll need to go back and adjust those. So, all right, the first thing that we're going to do is remove the header and footer that we have in our document right now. And to do that, we're going to go back to the Insert tab and then the Header button in the Header and Footer group. And at the bottom of this menu, again, you're probably not going to be able to see it, but it's below the Edit Header option that we used previously, and it says Remove Header. So that removes the header on every page. The footer is still on there. So to remove the footer, we're going to go back to the Header and Footer group. Choose the footer option, again down at the bottom of the menu, remove footer, and that takes out the footer that appears on every page. I'm seeing something else here. Notice when we changed it to double spacing, that did leave a side heading by itself. Again, you don't want that to happen either. You need to check your document when you do that, and to force that to the next page, I would simply enter in a hard page return. So Control Enter there will shift that, kick it to the next page so that it's associated with the paragraph that follows it. Now we're going to go through and create a header that prints on all the pages except for the first page. Okay, so I'm going to go to the very top of my document. I'm just going to press Control Home. That'll take me to the very top. And then we're going to insert a header again in the Header and Footer group. We're going to click on Header. And then again, down at the bottom of that menu, we're going to Edit Header. That'll put us into the header pane. Again, notice the Header and Footer Tools Design tab appears. Notice now in the Options group, we've got some options here, different first page, and we're going to get to the different odd and even pages. But for this first one, we're going to choose different first page. When we do that, that puts in a unique pane at the top, first page header pane. Notice on the second page, it goes just to a regular header. And so what we're going to do is leave that first page header blank. We're going to go to Next. That'll take us to the top the second page, and we're in that header pane. And within this header pane, then we're going to put in page numbering. And let's see. Trying to find out if they want it in the middle. I believe they just want it at the left-hand side. Yeah. Okay, so again, if we want to insert a specific, actually this is going to be a built-in header. So in the header and footer group, we're going to choose the header button. And the one that they want us to choose is accent bar 2, and you know what, they want it at the current position. So let me back out of here just a second. We're going to go to page number. So we go to page number, we want it at the current position. Nope, top of page. Getting all confused here. At the top of the page, and then we want accent bar 2. All right, now that puts it wherever it wants, depending on what type of built-in footer that we had. Even though we were at the left margin, notice that particular type of header has a border at the bottom of it, and it's right aligned. So we just take what the built-in header has for us. Now we're going to close out of this header pane, and as we scroll through this, there shouldn't be anything on the first page, but on the second and the third page and fourth page there should be headers. So we've got it numbered on every page except for the first page. So again, essentially what we did there is we chose this different first page. Alright, next we're going to look at creating the odd and even page headers and footers, and this is what I referred to previously with the page numbering that's in our textbook. Same concept that appears here. So we're going to try that in project 5D, and they're going to ask us first of all to remove the header that we currently have before we add a new footer actually to our document. So first thing that we're going to do is remove this different first page header option, and then we'll go to the header button. Down at the bottom of that, we're going to choose remove header, and I'll scroll through this real quick, and you can see that that header is gone on every page. Okay. All right. Then we're going to create a footer that prints on odd pages, and another one that prints on even pages. So we're going to go to the footer button. Oh, and we need to choose this first, I believe. Go to footer. Let's go to footer first, and then we can click on this different odd and even pages. And notice when you do that, that brings up the odd page footer option, and then we're going to pull in a built-in odd page footer that will automatically number our pages. So in the footer button there, we're going to scroll down and look for mod. These are all in alphabetical order, but we're looking for mod odd page. Notice the page numbering here. And then we're going to click on the next button, and that should take us to the even page footer. And from there, we're going to go back up to the footer button and choose mod even. So click on that one, and then we'll close out of the header footer pane, and you can kind of see what's going on here. So this is the first page. At the bottom of that, odd pages are going to go on the right hand side. And again, this is keeping consistent with what we see in the textbook. All of our odd pages are on the right hand side, and then when we go to the next page, footers on the left hand side, so even, back to the third page, and then the fourth page. Okay, very easy then to be able to apply odd and even pages that would appear in a manuscript or a textbook like we have.